USS Oriskany, designated CV-34, was not just an aircraft carrier, it was a symbol of transition, sacrifice, innovation, and the harsh realities of modern naval warfare. Her story begins in the final days of World War II, at a time when the United States Navy was expanding at an unprecedented pace. Laid down in May 1944 at the New York Naval Shipyard, Oriskany was part of the Essex-class carriers, a class that had already proven itself as the backbone of American sea power. However, fate had different plans for her. By the time she was launched in October 1945, the war had ended, and the world had entered a new and uncertain era. Instead of immediately joining the fleet, USS Oriskany was placed in reserve. This pause would later define her destiny, because when she returned to active construction in the early 1950s, naval warfare had changed dramatically. Jet aircraft were replacing propeller-driven planes, and the Navy needed carriers that could survive and operate in this new age. Oriskany became one of the first carriers to undergo the revolutionary CV-27 modernization program, transforming her from a World War II-era ship into a Cold War-ready war machine. When USS Oriskany was finally commissioned in September 1950, she was unlike any carrier before her. Her flight deck was reinforced to handle the weight and speed of jet aircraft. Powerful catapults replaced older systems, new arresting gear was installed, and her island structure was redesigned for improved radar and command capabilities. She was no longer just an Essex-class carrier, she was a prototype for the future of naval aviation. Her early years were spent proving that transformation had been worth the effort. Oriskany conducted extensive training operations in the Atlantic and Mediterranean, showing the world that the U.S. Navy could adapt faster than any potential enemy. She represented American resolve during the tense early years of the Cold War, when every deployment carried political significance. In the late 1950s, Oriskany underwent yet another major upgrade under the SCB-125 program. This refit gave her one of the most iconic features of modern carriers, the angled flight deck. This innovation dramatically improved safety and efficiency, allowing aircraft to land and take off simultaneously. Enclosed hurricane bows, improved elevators, and advanced navigation systems further modernized the ship. With these changes, Oriskany became fully capable of supporting high-performance jet fighters and attack aircraft that defined Cold War combat aviation. By the early 1960s, the carrier was a seasoned veteran of global operations. She patrolled troubled waters, participated in NATO exercises, and served as a floating symbol of American military strength. But her most defining chapter was yet to come, a conflict that would test her crew in ways few ships ever experienced. When the Vietnam War escalated, USS Oriskany was sent to the Western Pacific, where she would become one of the most heavily engaged carriers of the conflict. Operating from Yankee Station in the Gulf of Tonkin, Oriskany launched countless air strikes against North Vietnamese targets. Day and night, her flight deck roared with activity as pilots prepared to face intense anti-aircraft fire, surface-to-air missiles, and hostile fighters. Life aboard Oriskany during the Vietnam War was relentless. The heat was oppressive, the tempo unforgiving, and the danger constant. Flight deck crews worked inches away from jet engines and live ordnance, knowing that one mistake could be fatal. Pilots climbed into their cockpits with the knowledge that many missions ended in capture or death. Yet, despite these risks, the ship maintained an extraordinary operational record. Tragedy struck on October 26, 1966, in one of the most devastating accidents in U.S. Navy history. A magnesium parachute flare accidentally ignited in the forward hangar bay, starting a fire that quickly spread through the ship. Explosions rocked the carrier as smoke filled enclosed spaces, trapping sailors deep inside. Despite heroic firefighting efforts, the blaze claimed the lives of 44 crew members and injured many more. The fire aboard USS Oriskany was a turning point. It exposed critical flaws in shipboard safety procedures and led to sweeping reforms across the Navy. Improved firefighting training, better storage of flammable materials, and stricter safety protocols were implemented fleet-wide. The lives lost aboard Oriskany were not forgotten, they directly saved countless others in the years that followed. After repairs, USS Oriskany returned to combat operations with remarkable resilience. She continued to launch air strikes, proving that the ship and her crew could endure even the darkest moments. Oriskany earned a reputation as a tough, reliable carrier, one that could take damage and keep fighting. Throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s, Oriskany remained a critical asset in Vietnam. Her air wing flew thousands of sorties, striking supply routes, infrastructure, and military targets. Many of her pilots became aces, while others endured years as prisoners of war. The ship became closely associated with the courage and sacrifice of naval aviators during one of America's most controversial wars. As newer, larger supercarriers entered service, Oriskany's role gradually diminished. By the mid-1970s, advances in technology had made it increasingly expensive to keep older carriers fully modernized. In 1976, after more than 25 years of service, USS Oriskany was officially decommissioned. Her battle flags were lowered, and her crew departed, leaving behind a ship that had served through some of the most intense decades of modern naval history. Yet even in retirement, Oriskany's story was not finished. For years, she sat in reserve, her future uncertain. Scrapping was considered, but another idea emerged, one that would give the ship a new kind of legacy. In 2006, USS Oriskany was intentionally sunk off the coast of Florida to become an artificial reef. The sinking of Oriskany was a carefully planned event. Explosives sent the massive carrier to the ocean floor, where she came to rest upright in deep water. Almost immediately, marine life began to claim her steel hull. Coral, fish, and other organisms transformed the once deadly warship into a thriving underwater ecosystem. Divers from around the world now visit the site, exploring her flight deck and hangar bays in silence, surrounded by life rather than combat. This final transformation is perhaps the most poetic chapter of Oriskany's story. A ship built for war, tested by fire, and shaped by sacrifice now serves as a sanctuary beneath the sea. She no longer launches aircraft or carries weapons, but she continues to give, to the environment, to science, and to memory. USS Oriskany stands as a bridge between eras. She was born at the end of World War II, matured during the Cold War, and proved herself in Vietnam. She witnessed the transition from propeller aircraft to jets, from conventional warfare to missile combat. Her scars tell stories of bravery, loss, and adaptation. More than steel and machinery, Oriskany was defined by the people who served aboard her. Thousands of sailors and aviators called her home. They worked, fought, laughed, and mourned within her steel walls. Their experiences shaped the ship's identity, just as the ship shaped their lives. Today, the name USS Oriskany lives on not only in history books but in the memories of veterans in the silent depths of the ocean. She reminds us that progress often comes at a cost, that innovation is born from experience, and that even instruments of war can find new purpose in peace. Her story is not just about a ship, it is about transformation, resilience, and legacy. From the roar of jet engines to the quiet currents of the deep sea, USS Oriskany continues her journey, forever etched into naval history as a carrier that truly earned her place among legends.